The galaxy was silent, waiting. On the edge of the great station of Vanar Prime, thousands of alien eyes turned toward the endless black of space. The Council of Worlds had gathered here for one reason, to see the arrival of the humans. They were a young race, new to the stars, untested in war, and unknown in politics. Most of the galaxy believed they were weak. Stories said they were a small people from a small world, eager to join and eager to serve. The Council had sent an invitation for humanity to bring a shuttle, nothing more, and present themselves before the elder races. That was all that was expected. A simple shuttle, a few nervous diplomats, nothing dangerous. The air in the council chamber buzzed with whispers and laughter as the hour of arrival came close. Some alien leaders spoke with arrogance, claiming that the humans would beg for protection. Others joked that perhaps the humans had lost their way, too clumsy to navigate the stars. To them, Earth was nothing but another small world soon to be forgotten. The station sensors began to scan the void, and the first sign of a ship appeared. Everyone leaned forward. The reading was strange, larger than expected, but many dismissed it as an error. Surely the humans would not dare arrive in anything more than a shuttle. The hum of energy grew louder as the vessel began to emerge from hyperspace. Then, in one breath, the galaxy changed. From the endless dark came a shape that swallowed the stars. A massive warship broke through the fabric of space, its black hull shining with cold light, its armored skin scarred with battles unknown. It was not a shuttle. It was not even close. The chamber fell into silence as the vessel fully appeared. It was larger than any ship the Council had ever seen from a new species. Its wings spread wide like the shadow of a predator, its weapons glimmering along the sides like the teeth of a beast. Alien leaders froze in their seats. Their whispers died. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt fear of the unknown. The warship did not move with the clumsy steps of a beginner race. It glided with the confidence of a master predator. Shields shimmered faintly across its body, and engines burned with quiet strength. Every detail spoke of power, control, and hidden purpose. This was no accident. Humanity had chosen this. A simple shuttle could have been sent, but instead they had revealed something greater, something terrifying. On the station's bridge, alien commanders rushed to confirm the readings. The data was correct. The ship carried weapons strong enough to break fleets. Its energy signature was beyond anything expected from Earth. The council chamber shook with sudden tension. Some leaders shouted in anger, calling this a trick, an insult. Others whispered in fear, realizing what it truly meant. Humanity had not come begging for protection. Humanity had come to show strength. Outside, the warship remained still, watching. Its presence filled the void like a storm waiting to strike. No transmissions came. No message, no greeting. Only silence. And in that silence, the galaxy heard a warning louder than any words. For the younger races, hope sparked. If humans could rise to such power, perhaps they too could dream of freedom from the older empires. But for the great powers of the Council, dread grew heavier. They saw not a partner, not a servant, but a rival. Every eye returned to the void, every heart waiting for the first word from this terrifying new force. Time itself seemed to stretch. Seconds felt like hours as the ship hovered outside the station, its black armor drinking in the starlight. In that endless pause, one truth became clear. The galaxy had expected a shuttle. What it received was something far greater. Humanity had arrived, and with them came the shadow of a warship that could change the fate of every world. The Council did not know whether to welcome them or prepare for war. But deep inside, every leader, every soldier, every citizen who saw the arrival would never forget that moment. The moment the galaxy realized it had underestimated Earth. The silence grew heavier, pressing against every mind. And then, with a slow turn of its engines, the warship began to move closer to the station. Each step of its approach echoed like the footsteps of a giant, shaking the pride of empires. It was not here to hide. It was not here to beg. Humanity had sent a message without speaking a word. The galaxy expected a shuttle. Humanity had sent its strongest warship. And nothing would ever be the same again. The warship drifted closer, its shadow stretching across the station. No one in the council chamber spoke. No one dared. The air was thick with disbelief and fear. The galaxy had lived for thousands of years, and new species had come and gone, most of them weak and desperate, eager to be accepted into the fold. But this was different. This was something no one had expected. The humans had arrived not as petitioners but as giants. Every alien present struggled to understand what they were seeing. The Kreth delegate, a tall insectoid with gleaming green armor, leaned forward, his antennae twitching nervously. This cannot be their ship," he hissed. "It must belong to another empire. They could not build such a vessel so soon." The Olarian priest, her silver robes trembling around her thin frame, shook her head slowly. "No. The markings are human. That is their flag burned into the side. This is theirs." A wave of murmurs filled the chamber, fear spreading like fire. Some of the elder races clenched their fists in anger. Humanity had been invited with open arms, but instead of humility, they had shown pride. Instead of respect, they had displayed power. It was an insult to the council, a challenge to its authority. And yet, none dared raise their voice too loudly, for one glance at the massive warship outside reminded them of the danger that lurked in provoking such a force. On the station's command deck, soldiers watched the readings with wide eyes. Every second revealed more about the ship's might. Energy levels higher than entire fleets. Weapons hidden behind armored doors. Engines that glowed with silent fury. The station commander, a grizzled veteran from the Valari species, whispered under his breath, "One ship like this could burn half a sector." His officers exchanged glances, each realizing the same truth. This was not a warship built for defense. This was a warship built to dominate. Yet, the humans made no move to attack. No weapons fired, no threats were broadcast, no soldiers marched through the airlocks. The ship simply hovered, patient, calm, like a predator circling its prey. That calmness was worse than aggression. If they had come firing, the council could respond with outrage, unite their fleets, and prepare for war. But this silence, this restraint, unsettled them. It made the humans unpredictable, unreadable. In the chamber, the council leader, an ancient being with skin like molten stone, finally raised his heavy voice. "They come in silence," he said. "Why? What is their game?" No one answered. Some suspected arrogance. Perhaps the humans wanted to test the council's reaction, to see who would panic and who would stay calm. Others feared something deeper. What if the humans did not speak because they did not need to? What if the mere sight of the warship was the only message they wished to send? Among the younger species in the audience, awe began to bloom. They had suffered under the dominance of the great empires for centuries. They had been told they were weak, that they would never rise. But here, before their eyes, a young race like humanity had dared to stand tall. Whispers spread among them. If the humans could do this, maybe they too could dream of freedom. Hope and fear clashed in the chamber, and neither side could claim victory. Outside, the warship shifted slightly, its vast hull glinting in the light of the station's suns. For a moment, its cannons aligned with the station, and panic erupted. Alarms blared, guards scrambled, shields were raised. But nothing came. The warship continued to float, silent and watchful. The panic slowly died, leaving behind only shame. The council had revealed its fear too quickly, while the humans had done nothing at all. The silence grew unbearable. It pressed into every corner of the chamber, into every mind, like a weight too heavy to carry. Finally, one of the elder delegates, his voice shaking with anger, shouted, "Send them a demand. Tell them to stand down. Tell them to explain themselves." But even as he spoke, others shook their heads. To demand was to admit weakness. To demand was to show that the council was not in control. And none of them wanted to reveal that truth. The galaxy was proud. It was old. It had seen wars, betrayals, and the fall of empires. Yet here, in this single moment, it felt small in the shadow of a single human warship. The question spread across every mind like a poison. If this was only one ship, then what else did Earth hide? Was this their strongest? Or was this only the beginning? No answers came. No messages. No explanations. Only silence. And in that silence, the galaxy trembled. For the first time in centuries, the elder races felt the cold taste of fear. Humanity had arrived, and they had not come to kneel. They had come to be seen. The warship hung in space like a silent mountain of steel, unmoving yet full of hidden force. Its vast hull stretched farther than any vessel the Council had seen from a young race. Dark armor reflected the distant suns, each plate thick and layered with designs meant only for one purpose: survival in battle. Along its flanks rested enormous cannons, quiet now, but heavy with potential destruction. Every weapon was sealed inside armored housings, but even hidden they radiated menace. The ship was built not just to fight but to intimidate, and its presence alone made seasoned warriors uneasy. On the station's bridge, officers scanned and re-scanned the readings, desperate to believe they were wrong. But the numbers did not lie. The energy contained within that single ship was equal to an entire fleet. Its reactor core pulsed with strength beyond imagination. Its shields, faint and glowing, rippled across the surface like a second skin. No single empire in the Council could match such technology, not in one vessel, not at this scale. Whispers spread quickly through the chamber. The Kreth, proud and warlike, clenched their clawed hands in frustration. Their fleets numbered in the thousands, yet this one ship seemed able to stand against them all. The Olarian priest spoke softly, her voice barely above a whisper, but every ear strained to hear. This is not their strongest. It cannot be. No race builds only one. This is just the one they chose to show us. The thought sent ripples of unease through the room. If humanity had fleets of these, the balance of power was no longer in the Council's hands. The great empires who had ruled for centuries, who had demanded tribute and obedience from weaker races, suddenly felt the fragile ground beneath them begin to crack. But the humans had not fired. The warship moved with the quiet confidence of a beast that knew it was the strongest predator in the field. Every detail of its design told a story. Heavy armor that could survive 100 battles. Cannons capable of tearing apart moons. Smaller weapons tucked neatly along the sides for precision strikes. Engines that burned with calm blue fire, powerful yet controlled. This was not the work of a desperate people throwing together scraps of war. This was the work of a race that had prepared, a race that had studied, a race that had built something with purpose. It was a message made of steel and silence. Humanity was not weak. They had grown in the shadows, watching the galaxy, learning its dangers, and preparing for the day they would step forward. Now that day had come, and the galaxy was not ready. The station commander felt his stomach twist as the warship's sensors swept across the area. They could feel it probing, scanning, learning everything about the station and its defenses. The commander knew the truth. If that ship fired, there would be no escape, no defense strong enough, no wall thick enough. The station would be reduced to dust in moments. Yet the humans held their fire. They showed discipline. That restraint was more frightening than an attack. For it meant the humans were in control, and the Council was not. In the chamber, voices rose in anger, trying to mask their fear. "It is arrogance," shouted one elder, his voice trembling. "They wish to frighten us into submission. They think to cow the Council with one ship." Another answered, his tone lower, more thoughtful. "No. This is not arrogance. This is confidence. They have no need to boast. The ship itself is their statement." The younger races listened carefully. Many of them had been told for generations that they were weak, that the Council would protect them, guide them, rule them. But now they saw humanity, a race younger than themselves, daring to arrive in strength. Hope flickered in their hearts. If Earth could rise, maybe one day they could too. The warship turned slowly, its vast body gliding like a predator circling its prey. Each movement seemed deliberate, calculated to remind the galaxy of its scale. The council members shifted uneasily in their seats, each of them silently measuring their fleets against the ship outside, and each realizing the same bitter truth: none of them could win in battle against such a vessel. The question pressed harder into their thoughts. Why had humanity sent this? They had been invited to bring a shuttle, a token of respect. Instead, they had brought a weapon of war. Was this a threat? Was this a warning? Or was it a promise that humanity would never kneel? The silence of the humans gave no answers. It only deepened the mystery. The ship's lights blinked slowly, its massive frame casting shadows across the station walls. No words, no explanations, only the cold presence of unmatched power. The council waited, trapped in a storm of fear and curiosity. Whatever came next, one fact was clear: humanity had shown the galaxy its warship, and the galaxy would never see them as weak again. The silence stretched across the chamber like a heavy chain. The warship floated outside the station, dark and patient, its cannons quiet but ready. No one spoke, no one dared to breathe too loudly. The council waited, their pride wounded, their fear growing with every second. For a long time, it seemed as if the humans would never speak, as if the ship itself was the only message. Then, without warning, the silence broke. A transmission crackled across every screen in the station, cutting into every channel at once. The symbol of Earth appeared first, sharp and unfamiliar to most of the galaxy. Then a human face filled the screen. The figure was calm, dressed in a dark uniform marked with silver. His eyes were steady, his voice clear, carrying no fear, no weakness. To the Council of Worlds, the human began, his tone steady and measured. We are the representatives of Earth. We come in peace. But understand this: peace must always be protected. The words struck like a thunderclap. Simple, direct, yet heavy with meaning. The chamber filled with nervous whispers. Some felt relief. Others heard only a warning. The human continued, his voice unwavering. You invited us to join your council. You expected us to arrive humbly, with bowed heads and open hands. But humanity is not here to kneel. We are here to stand. We will walk beside you, not behind you. The council leader shifted uncomfortably in his seat. His stone-like face remained hard, but even he felt the weight of the words. The humans had chosen their moment carefully. They had come not as servants but as equals, and they had made that clear before the entire galaxy. We bring no war, the commander said. But make no mistake, we are ready for it. If peace is threatened, if humanity is challenged, we will defend ourselves with everything we have. This ship is proof. We show you not our greatest weapon, but a promise. Earth will not be conquered. Earth will not be silenced. And those who seek to harm us will find only fire. The message was calm, but its meaning cut deep. Some council members clenched their fists in outrage. They heard arrogance. They heard defiance. Yet beneath their anger lay a fear they could not ignore. Others, especially the leaders of smaller races, listened with growing hope. For centuries, they had been trapped beneath the rule of the great empires. But now they saw a race that refused to kneel, a race that had found its voice and its strength. Perhaps humanity could be the ally they had long prayed for. The human paused, his eyes scanning the chamber through the screens. It felt as though he was staring into the soul of every delegate. We do not seek enemies. We do not seek conquest. But we will not be underestimated. Remember this day, Council. Remember what you have seen. Earth has come not as a child, but as a power. And we will take our place in this galaxy on equal ground. The transmission ended as suddenly as it began. The screen went dark. The warship remained outside, silent once more, but now its presence carried the weight of the words spoken. The chamber erupted into chaos. Voices shouted over one another. Some demanded sanctions against Earth, punishment for this display of power. Others argued that war with such a force would be suicide. The younger races spoke of hope, their voices trembling with excitement. The great empires hissed in anger, their pride wounded. But no matter how they argued, none could erase the truth of what they had just seen. The humans had spoken. And they had spoken with strength. On the station's bridge, the commander of the guard watched the warship with narrowed eyes. He had fought in wars, seen fleets burn, seen empires rise and fall. Yet never had one ship unsettled him like this. It was not just the weapons. It was the silence, the calm, the certainty in the human voice. These were not the words of a desperate race. These were the words of a race that knew its own strength. Back in the chamber, the council leader raised his heavy voice once again. They claim peace, he said slowly, but they show us war. They claim equality, but they bring a weapon that could destroy us all. Is this diplomacy? Or is this intimidation? No one answered. No one could. Because deep inside, they all knew the truth. The warship outside had not come to beg. It had come to remind them that the galaxy had underestimated Earth. And the humans were not afraid to prove it. The chamber fell into uneasy silence once more, the echoes of the humans' message ringing in every mind. For the first time in centuries, the council felt the ground shift beneath their feet. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had spoken. And nothing would ever be the same again. The council chamber did not rest after the human message ended. Instead, the storm inside grew louder. Delegates argued, voices sharp, echoing against the tall walls of stone and steel. Some were furious, demanding that humanity be punished for its boldness. Others sat in uneasy silence, weighing the meaning of the warship's presence. The chamber had seen many debates before, but never one like this. Fear clung to every word. The elder empires, proud rulers of the galaxy, were the first to speak in anger. The Kreth delegate slammed his clawed hand against the table, his mandibles snapping as he shouted. This cannot be allowed. They come here with weapons instead of respect. If we permit this insult, every young race will rise against us. Humanity must be reminded of its place. Several other great powers nodded in agreement, their faces twisted with pride and unease. They were used to obedience, not defiance. The Olarian priest raised her hand for calm, but her voice trembled when she spoke. We cannot rush into war. You saw the ship as clearly as I did. One vessel holds enough power to challenge our fleets. And if they have more, what then? We may spark a war that none of us can win. Her words silenced some, but not all. Anger was too strong. Fear of losing control drove many of the elders forward. They had ruled for centuries by keeping others weak, and now a young race had shattered that illusion with a single display. Across the chamber, the younger species whispered among themselves. Their voices were quieter, but their tone was different. Some of them felt excitement. They had lived too long under the shadow of the council, paying tribute, following orders, waiting for a day they might stand free. The humans had shown that it was possible. They had arrived not on their knees, but with a warship that even the great empires feared. For the weak and oppressed, this was hope. The tension grew as the debate turned bitter. The elder races demanded action. Some spoke of forming a joint fleet to force humanity into submission before they grew too strong. Others called for isolation, for blocking Earth from trade and alliances, starving them until they bent to the Council's will. But fear made their voices shake. They knew the humans would not bend so easily. On the station's bridge, officers watched the warship through the wide glass windows. The ship remained still, silent, unshaken by the chaos it had caused. It did not move closer, it did not retreat. It simply hovered, waiting. The commander of the guard clenched his jaw. He had seen ships like predators before, but never one that seemed so certain of its strength. He whispered to his second officer, "They have not come here to ask. They have come here to test us. And the council is failing the test." Back in the chamber, a voice rose above the noise. It came from the Valari chancellor, an old and cunning leader whose people had fought many wars. "If we allow this, humanity will grow bold. They will not stop at equality. They will demand more. We must act now. Send ships to test their strength. See if their warship is as powerful as it appears. The idea spread quickly, whispered from one delegate to another. A test, small and controlled, a way to measure humanity's true power without risking everything. Some agreed eagerly. Others hesitated, fearing what the results might reveal. In the shadows of the chamber, younger delegates listened carefully. To them, it was not a test of strength. It was the beginning of a trap, a spark that could ignite a war. But their voices carried little weight in the storm of elder pride. Outside, the warship drifted like a sleeping beast, unaware or perhaps unconcerned about the debate inside. Its silent presence continued to gnaw at the hearts of every leader. The longer it remained, the more the galaxy realized the truth. Humanity had not only brought power. They had brought uncertainty. For centuries, the Council had been the center of order. Now, for the first time, their order trembled. The argument reached its peak when the Council leader finally spoke. His molten stone face glowed faintly in the dim light as his deep voice rumbled through the chamber. We cannot ignore them. To do nothing is weakness. But to act too boldly is foolishness. If a test must be made, it will be made carefully. Small ships, nothing more. Let us see how this warship responds. His decision settled the chamber, but unease lingered. Some celebrated quietly, eager to see the humans humbled. Others feared that the test would backfire, that the humans would reveal even greater power. The younger races remained silent, their eyes wide, their hearts racing. They knew what the elders refused to admit. If the humans were tested, the galaxy might learn a truth far more terrifying than it was ready to face. The session ended, but no peace followed. In the corridors of the station, whispers spread faster than light. Rumors of secret fleets, whispers of rebellion, dreams of freedom, fears of war. The humans had not spoken again, yet their silence was louder than words. Every race now waited for the test, for the moment when the galaxy would push against humanity and discover what kind of strength truly lay behind that warship's black steel walls. The tension was rising, and every soul knew that whatever happened next would change the galaxy forever. The decision had been made, though no one wanted to admit the danger that came with it. A fleet would not be sent, not yet. Instead, only a few small ships, scouts armed with light weapons, would approach the human warship. It was to be called a test, nothing more, an act that could be explained as routine inspection should the humans question it. But everyone in the council chamber knew the truth. This was not inspection. This was provocation. The order went out in silence, carried through encrypted channels. Crews were chosen quickly, soldiers loyal to the elder races, soldiers who believed that humanity needed to be reminded of its place. The younger delegates protested, but their voices were brushed aside. The elders had decided, and once their pride was engaged, there was no turning back. In the wide void outside the station, 3 ships separated from the docks. They were sleek and sharp, smaller than the human warship by thousands of meters, but swift and armed with weapons meant to cut down anything weaker than themselves. They moved like wolves circling a lion, confident in their numbers, arrogant in their training. On the station's bridge, the commander watched in silence. His chest was tight, his eyes fixed on the great human vessel that floated still and silent. He knew this was folly, but his orders were clear. He would not interfere. The council had made its choice. In the chamber, whispers filled the air as delegates watched the ships approach. Some leaned forward eagerly, waiting for humanity's pride to shatter. Others sat rigid with fear, praying that blood would not be spilled. The younger races clenched their fists, powerless to stop what was coming, yet unable to look away. The scouts drew closer, their weapons powering up, though not yet firing. It was meant to send a message: obey, explain yourself, show weakness. But the humans did not move. Their warship hung in the void like a mountain unmoved by the wind. The silence deepened, thick as stone. The scouts circled, their sensors probing, their signals flashing across the dark. They fired warning shots, thin beams of light that sizzled harmlessly across the human shields. The council chamber erupted. Some cheered. Others gasped in fear. Yet the warship did not fire back. Its shields shimmered faintly, absorbing the energy without a flicker of strain. It was as though the attack had not even touched it. Then the warship moved. Slowly, deliberately, it turned its vast hull toward the three scouts. Its cannons slid into place, not firing, only aiming. The sight was enough to silence even the most arrogant voices in the chamber. The predator had finally looked at its prey. The human transmission came at last, a calm voice across every channel. Do not mistake our silence for weakness. Do not mistake our patience for fear. We have shown restraint, but we will not tolerate further insult. Leave now, or be disabled. The words were not shouted. They were not angry. They were cold, controlled, and final. The scouts hesitated. Their captains exchanged hurried messages, unsure of whether to push further or retreat. Pride told them to continue. Survival whispered otherwise. The council leader leaned forward, his stone-like face unreadable. For a moment, it seemed the scouts might retreat. But then, pride took hold. One of the smaller ships fired a second volley, this time aimed directly at the warship's hull. The beams flared bright, striking the black armor. The chamber froze, every eye watching. For a breath, nothing happened. Then the human warship responded. Its cannons lit with sudden fire, beams of precise energy snapping outward. In less than a second, the first scout ship was struck. Its weapons went dark, its engines sputtered, its shields collapsed. But the human fire had not destroyed it. The ship was disabled, floating powerless in the void. The second scout tried to turn, but a pulse of light from the warship cut through its systems, shutting it down like a toy. The third attempted to flee, its engines burning, but the warship released a burst of controlled energy that wrapped around it like chains, pulling its systems offline without ending its crew. In moments, three ships that had once moved with arrogance now drifted helplessly in the black. Not one had been destroyed, not one life had been taken. Yet the message was clear. Humanity could have killed them all, but it had chosen not to. The council chamber was silent. No cheers, no protests, only the quiet breathing of those who realized they had underestimated Earth once again. The human voice returned, steady and cold. We will not seek war. But if war is forced upon us, we will end it swiftly. Remember what you have seen. Remember that this was mercy. The transmission ended. The warship turned slightly, engines humming with quiet power, as if the event had been nothing more than a minor distraction. The disabled scouts drifted nearby, waiting for rescue, their pride shattered. Inside the chamber, every delegate understood what had just happened. Humanity had passed the test, and they had done it without blood. They had shown power beyond question, but also control beyond imagination. That restraint was more terrifying than destruction, for it meant humanity was not reckless. They were calculated, deliberate, and unshaken. The choice had been made, and the council realized with dread that it was humanity, not them, who had made it. The silence after the battle was heavier than the silence before it. Three scout ships drifted powerless outside the station, their lights flickering, their engines dead. Crews inside them sat in shock, staring out at the massive human warship that had disabled them without effort. No one had died, no ship had been destroyed, yet the humiliation was greater than death. The galaxy had witnessed the truth. Humanity's warship had answered the test, and it had done so with precision, speed, and restraint. In the council chamber, no delegate spoke. Even the proudest of the elder races, those who had demanded the test, could not find words. They had seen their will broken in less than a heartbeat. Their pride, once towering, now felt fragile and small beneath the shadow of Earth's power. At last, the council leader spoke, his voice deep but unsteady. They could have destroyed them, he said. They did not. Why? The question echoed through the chamber. Some whispered that humanity wanted to show mercy, to prove themselves as fair rulers rather than conquerors. Others whispered darker thoughts, that this was a warning, that humans wanted everyone to know they could destroy without needing to kill. On the station's bridge, officers watched the warship with wide eyes, each man and woman knowing what the council dared not say aloud. Humanity had just declared its place among the stars, and no one could deny it. The warship turned slowly, its great hull catching the light of the suns. Then, for the last time, a transmission filled the station. The human commander appeared once more, calm as ever, his face stern but steady. "Council of Worlds," he said, his voice echoing across every chamber and corridor. "You have tested us. You have seen our strength. But know this, what you have seen is not the measure of Earth. It is only the beginning." A wave of unease swept through the chamber. The humans had spoken clearly before, but now their words carried something heavier, something final. The commander continued, his eyes unblinking. "We did not come here to kneel. We did not come here to ask permission to exist. We came here to take our place as equals. If peace is offered, we will accept it. If respect is given, we will return it. But if anyone seeks to chain us, to break us, to destroy us, we will not bow. We will not fall. We will fight, and we will win." The words struck like iron. Some council members trembled with rage, others with fear, and still others with awe. For the younger races, those long oppressed, hope burned brighter than ever. The humans had spoken not only for themselves but for every world that had longed for freedom. The commander's voice softened, but his words carried more weight than ever. "Today you expected a shuttle. Today you saw something greater. Remember this day, for it is the day you learned who humanity is. We are not weak. We are not silent. We are the voice of Earth, and we will be heard." The screen went dark, and the warship began to move. Engines flared, casting blue light across the stars. Slowly, it pulled away from the station, drifting with calm confidence. It did not rush, did not flee. It left with the steady pace of a power that feared nothing. The council chamber remained in silence. Some leaders lowered their heads, ashamed. Others clenched their fists, furious. But none could deny the truth. Humanity had come, and the galaxy would never be the same. Outside, the younger delegates pressed close to the windows, watching the warship vanish into hyperspace. For them, it was not a nightmare. It was a dream. A sign that the chains of the old empires could one day be broken. For the elders, it was something far different. It was the shadow of a storm they could not stop. The council leader's voice broke the silence one last time. "Mark this day," he said, his molten eyes dim with worry. "Mark it well. The balance of power has shifted. Humanity has declared itself. And I fear this is only the beginning." His words hung in the air long after the warship was gone. The chamber emptied slowly, delegates whispering among themselves, each mind racing with fear, anger, or hope. Some plotted revenge. Others dreamed of alliance. But all of them understood what had been revealed. Humanity had arrived, and they had not come as children. They had come as a force, as a rival, as a people who would not bow. And though they left the station behind, their shadow lingered, heavy and unshakable, stretching across the stars. The galaxy had expected a shuttle. Humanity had sent its strongest warship. And the memory of that revelation would echo forever.